Hi, Rob here. Are you butthurt about the photographic industry and the changes that have happened over the last couple of decades? You know, the way cell phones are everywhere and everybody thinks they're a photographer these days. If I ever got butthurt, it didn't last long because I've never really liked the idea of putting myself in a position where I'm playing either victim or I'm playing the blame game. I've never thought it was conducive to a positive outcome. So I learned early on, I'm not sure where this came from, but it was an idea that was entrenched in my consciousness that playing a victim or a blame situation is not going to help matters. So I'll give you a couple examples of some of the trends that have happened, and I'll explain a little more as to what I think needs to be done. I can remember back in 2004-ish, 5, whatever, I converted to digital back in 2000, so it didn't take very long. A couple of years in, all of a sudden I saw at weddings DSLRs everywhere. Now you got to remember, pre-digital, we never saw many cameras at weddings or events or whatnot. Now they're everywhere. I mean, they're everywhere, like everywhere. Everybody's got a cell phone, everybody's a photographer. So I can recall back in the day going to a wedding and there'd be a handful or more of people with digital cameras. I remember the groom's father had a camera and he's like in the aisle taking pictures, and I'm thinking to myself, why don't you enjoy your son's wedding instead of playing photographer? But anyways, that was about as bad as that gets. But it occurred to me that there's nothing I can do about this onslaught. I didn't know where it was going to go, but there it is. Cell phones took over and turned the entire world into photographers. So it's easy to complain. It's easy to fall into excuse mode and blaming and coming up with a rationale as to why we are not achieving success in our photography business. And again, as I mentioned, it's important to get away from that mindset. So what I do nowadays is I don't let it bother me. I just kind of like whatever. And the other thing I do is I take full and total responsibility. So what do I need to do in my mind and in my photography business, along with my wife, my business partner? What do I need to do to pull myself out of that cultural mindset that is so prevalent with everybody? So in other words, people think they're an equal with me. Now, if I was butthurt and prideful, I'd be like, yeah, no, I'm better than you are. So for example, I shot a wedding a couple months ago. It was one of these COVID backyard weddings, but the groom's father had a cell phone, and he showed me some of his images, and he's going on, and he's taking pictures, you know, of the flowers and the rings and all this, and he's like full of his skills. You know what I mean? He's like, this is how good I am. But I did not get offended by that. I didn't take a defensive position. I encouraged him. I said, yeah, those are amazing. You're a good photographer. Look at that. That phone, that cell phone of yours creates amazing results. So we're buddies now. And I'm not doing that to be insincere. I'm just trying to get on the same wavelength as him, and I'm trying to, and I am, not letting it bother me. So last week I was doing a family portrait right here in my studio. This is a couple from, they were from Brazil, super nice couple. And did the family photo. They had a little 6-year-old girl, got some amazing results. The order was really nice. And then at the end of the session, I could tell this happens a lot. They really enjoyed the experience and they really enjoyed working with me, which is key. There's a lesson in there. So that's something I can deliver that, you know, the groom's father with the cell phone can't deliver, or anybody else. So the father asks me at the end, he says, do you teach photography? Yeah, once in a while I do some community stuff through the library and what have you. And he pulls out his cell phone and he shows me some of the images that he shot. And I'm like, whoa. I mean, this guy was good. Like, he was like National Geographic good. And I wasn't threatened by it, but he was scenic photography. And my thought was, he doesn't need lessons unless he wants to stop using his cell phone and ramp up his gear and possibly advance his photographic skills. But he was obviously naturally gifted, and I told him that. So in the end, it's important to not let this stuff bother you. I see too many photographers get butthurt, they get angry. These are things you can't control. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. So I ask myself this question: is there anything I can do about it? And if the answer is no, then the next question is, well, what can I do about it in my own life, my own world, my own business, through my marketing, through my skill set, through the experience that I bring to my clients? So there's two things I need to do. One, not let it bother me. I got to be very Zen-like, not let it bother me. I'm good at that. And the next thing is, okay, I need to find ways with which I'm going to create photography packages, photography services, like, you know, like the fairies, and we do pop-up weddings now, which is a natural evolution of the wedding industry. My wife's a wedding officiant, so we create these nice little wedding pop-up events and whatnot. So we're doing things that other people can't bring to the game, and it's kept us busy, it's kept us relevant, and it will keep us relevant to this day. I mean, it's amazing, absolutely amazing. So I can't imagine constantly being in a state of being butthurt. I mean, why would you want to? Why? It's such a waste of space in your head, and it's such a waste of negative emotion. I mean, negative emotions are going to wear you down and bring you to very dark places. So you've got to stay focused, and you got to be responsible. You got to look at yourself. You got to look at your own photography business and say, and ask, what can I do to rise above this, so that I'm still relevant? I mean, there might come a point in time where nobody will ever want photography services again, or maybe it'll be such a super tight niche, like for example, you know, when cars got invented, all of a sudden people didn't need horseshoes as much, or they didn't need buggy whips, or when electricity got invented, they didn't need you know, oil lanterns. I mean, in situations like that where there's radical changes, okay, that might change the way your industry evolves. However, and I've joked about this before, and it applies to the same attitude that I'm trying to convey to you. If that ever happens, I'll probably get into another business and apply the same strategies, something that is new, something that is relevant, because all in all, when it comes right down to the crunch, I am not so much a photographer as I am a business person who is delivering photographic services, and I find that very, very exciting. And along with that comes having the right attitude and the right mindset, and that's what we're talking about. We're talking about mindset. So being butthurt is not a good mindset. Being positive, optimistic, and responsible is. Thank you very much.